get started. So please, if you know your friend, your families are not yet to join the MMR class, please do well to, send them messages so that, they can actually join the class. All right, good morning, everyone. Please, can you all hear me? Yeah, please make sure that your audio is, good. So we can actually start now. We have a couple of people already around. So, let's just get to it. So like a trader, you know that the first thing you want to check when you want to trade is not your chart exactly. You want to be aware of what opportunities that you have in the market for you to take advantage of. So you head definitely to your Forex factory. So as today, 20th, you can see here that I actually opened my Forex factory for the entire week. That's because I want us to be aware that as much as we might not have so much going on today, we need to remember that there are a lot of opportunities from next week from the USD zone, JPY, which, is actually going to currently be affecting the market. So like for today, we have from the AUD zone by 2:30 a.m. You can see that it actually came out positive, that it came out good. We have that employment change and unemployment rate. You know that when you talk about unemployment rate, you're looking at, okay, it's actually very direct. How many people are employed? That would also, affect unemployment claims, which we're actually going to be having by 1:30 p.m. Today from the USD zone. And, we also have some not so high impact news. So, however, you want to pay attention to the USD today. So regardless of what you trade, you know by now that this market is quoted in dollars. And that is why when we have a fundamental coming from the dollar region, it affects most of the things that we have in the market, ranging from your commodities to indices and also your agro commodities. So you want to pay attention to when you have a high impact news coming from the USD zone. So next, I would want us to look at what the USD is actually doing. That is what have this particular index. And I'm sure we all know by now that we have the USD IDX that helps us to measure what this market is doing. That is the USD against most basket of instruments. So let's see what this instrument have been able to do over the week. Well, we actually seen that over the month, we have actually seen the USD fall. Why? If you have been following the fundamentals correctly, we know that ever since last year when the inflation started, the United States were one of the first people trying to, take out the inflation from the economy, and they just started with aggressive moves like interest rate. But one thing about interest rate is that the more you actually increase it, it can dry out, that is, mop up a lot of money from the economy. We already know that one of the reasons why they increase the interest rate is so that, when there's too much money in circulation, that causes inflation, and that, takes out so now if government wants to actually take out money from the economy, what they do is they increase their interest rate to mop out some money, so that inflation can actually drop. However, one other side of adding interest rate is recession. It can lead to possible recession. And, over time, the USD have been going hard, trying to combat inflation. And it has gotten to a point in the economy right now whereby they have to really, really be careful. If not, they're going to drive the economy into recession. It even went as far as them increasing their debt ceiling. We should all know these things by now. So we've been able to see that over time, this particular instrument has actually, gone down, even if is actually trying to struggle, and looking at the fundamentals we've had over the months, we've been able to see that the dollar is actually doing a lot of struggle in the market. And that takes me down to my gold. So by now you already know that with gold has a negative correlation with the dollar. And this is an instrument that most investors consider to be a safe haven, because every investor loves an interest economy whereby interest rates are being increased. They put their money in it, meaning that they would actually be making really, really good money through the profits at the end of the day. However, once the economy is not doing so well because of interest rates, they still need to make money. That's what an investor does. I have to make money one way or the other. So if the dollar is not working for me, what do I need to do? Or what other instrument am I looking at for me to actually put money into? And it takes their mind down to, the yellow metal, which we know as gold. So we've been able to see that, as much as gold has done quite a retracement, I mean, it started on a high this year, and the dollar actually came in stronger, and they've been more of a power struggle between dollar and gold this year. However, gold has done well to maintain a very good position in the market at the long run. So that is why you'd see that regardless of it, you see it's making its way higher highs, which is telling you that it's probably going to push up. So for, traders this morning, I would advise that as much as gold is actually good, you still want to trade carefully. You still want to, be safe. So what I'd advise for you to do is, now you can see that, we have unemployment claims coming from the USD. Let's not forget that. So definitely we know that if there is one thing we can count on the markets to do when we have a fundamental, is for you to trade sideways for a while. However, we've seen that gold, is still going to go up. It is also sitting on my 21 period moving average and 50 moving average, which is also serving as a support. Even at this moment, it's actually on a turncoat resistance, which we might see it break or not break by 1:30 when the news is out. So you'd want to take your buy for gold above the turncoat, above your 0.0 fib retracement, just to be safe. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see my chat. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know that you guys could not see my chat. So let me just quickly recap on the USD IDX that I spoke about earlier. We've been seeing that it has actually, been going lower and lower. And just like I said, it's been really struggling because if there's one thing we know about the US is that they would never take a fall. As much as you can see, economy indicators are telling you that, okay, recession is, probably at the corner. The US would always find a way to, bounce back up. So, that took us to gold. We're still going to see a good run on gold today. But let's not forget that, like I said, the reason why I actually shared my Forex factory, for the entire week also into next week is because the market will be reacting to most of that news. So we might see a couple of indecisions in the market for, for till when those news are out. So you want to be able to take really, really safe positions. If you have, some really good capital, I can still say, a gold is too good for a buy. So you can take, like I said, your buy above the 0.0 fib retracement level. We've seen that price has retraced at this point for at least. So it might be looking to test it and retrace, or but a safe buy above here and a sell once it breaks my 21 period moving average. I see it taking a sell down to the verified support. So now we're going to look at the Nasdaq 100. So we already know that the Nasdaq 100 also has a very good correlation with the dollar. However, these days is more like they're going head to head because if you've been able to follow the market, you see that most times or sometimes it actually does not go the way we actually expect it to be. As much as we've been saying things like, oh, tech is the future, tech is the future. And as much as we've seen some pretty good retracement of sales on this particular market, we've actually been able to see that it is just due to some particular retracement. And this particular index, as the US 100, has actually still been on about 40% profit high, since when it started this year. So it still tells you that, there's still a long way to go and we are still expecting it to, do this. So definitely looking at it today, we still know that we have a fundamental today, which, we might cause this particular instrument to range for a while. However, it is still going to obey. If there's one thing about the fundamental, the US 100, it is that once there is nothing affecting it, it is always going to respect your support and resistance. So you can actually, now it has gotten to a weak support, it would definitely, bounce back up. And then, maybe at this particular level, you can see it retrace back, but you can, the pattern that it has formed from here, you would see it actually repeat itself till when the news is out, and then we can further take a sell below this week support and buy at this particular region. But just like I said, obeying it as always, before 130, you would see it literally bounce between this particular area. So you want to be able to go in for, take a position that is actually good for your account size. You need to remember that these are very volatile instruments and the market is very, very volatile at the point. So there is very good money for you to make, but, always make sure you pay respect to your account size so that you do not, give it too much risk.
Hello, good morning. And that was a wonderful one from my colleague Anita. And at this junction, I'm going to be taking over and we'll look at what the market has to do for us. So firstly, I'm going to be sharing my screen. so that we can both be at par. All right. So all right, good. So this is we'll start from Euro USD. I'll start from Euro USD. And I'm looking at this particular instrument, what it has actually been doing. We can actually see that for the most of what we've had for this week, Euro USD has actually been more of a consolidating market, or do I say that from last week Friday, the market has actually been consolidating. And if I'm meant to draw more like a shape for you to see, you'd see that with market has actually been ranging between this region and this region. All right. This is just to tell you that when you look at the operations of the market, a lot of things are not really going as far as what we think. All right. And permit me to say this: USD is actually weak at the moment, considering what my colleague just told you when it comes to the dollar index, looking at what the dollar is doing per time. Then aside that too, irrespective of the fact that the dollar index has been weak, it doesn't really say that it would be a kind of easy overrun for other instruments just like that. No, it's not an easy overrun for other instruments just like that. And that's why you can actually see that the market has been doing more of a kind of struggle. If Euro actually moves in an upward direction, at least in the next 2 or 3 or 4 hours maximum, you see USD covering that particular mark, and that's what we are having. So one of the major issues that is actually affecting Euro USD at the moment is that one, yesterday there was a market actually had a digest on what we had on Tesla as well as Netflix, and because these two key major instruments, they actually did worked on what we call their own quarterly earnings. And from the quarterly earnings which we did add from them, there was a drop down, a massive drop down in the stocks of Tesla as well as Netflix. And this actually did wade into other aspects of the economy. Then aside this too, when you look at Germany, which happens to be one of the major hubs of the Eurozone, the German producer prices actually fell by 0.3 in the month, which tells us of the fact that even when it comes to production in their own area, they are not really doing or getting up to what they intended for them to actually get. And emerging data for today now, investors are going to be considering the emerging data from unemployment claims, which is going to be happening around 130, which we believe that this would likely give a rise to what we will be having in the market. So for today, what as a person can actually do is this: looking at the concept of support and resistance. All right, market is actually testing this particular area which we have. You can actually decide to enter for a buy. If price breaks above this particular area, you can enter for a buy. If price breaks above this particular area, then you can consider taking your profits before price gets to this area, or probably within this area. So this is a very valid and very, very good entry for you when it comes to the market for today. Then peradventure, you are looking towards entering the market for a sell. So in terms of a sell, what you can basically do, the lowest market has actually gotten to for today happens to be this particular region. That's the lowest the market has actually gotten to for today. So if price breaks below this particular area, it's actually a favorable sell for you, of which I believe that by the time the news is going to be coming out by 1:30, would be dwelling around this particular area. So you can actually enter for a sell. That is if price breaks below the lowest of today, while you can actually take your profits before market gets to the next support which we have here. So this is actually a very, very good favorable buy for you. Now from this now would move or look into GBP USD as another currencies. Now looking at some GBP USD as well as operations of what the market has been doing, just like I did I said generally US dollar is weak, but for the fact that US dollar is weak, it does not mean that it will become a easy overrun for other instruments. And this is an example of what we can actually see on this is an example of what we can actually see on GBP USD. Yesterday there was a data that actually came out from the stable of GBP, of which some of this news that actually came out did not really favor them. So for yesterday, we had the inflation report, which is talking about CPI consume. So we had this changing. So CPI actually measures change in price of goods and services purchased by consumers, and the core data, that's consumer price index. The core data that actually came out for yesterday didn't do so well, and that was why we had GBP, collapsing, and we had dollars taking much of it. So the CPI actually fell from 8.7 to 7.9, while the core CPI fell from 7.1 to 6.9. And this data, by the time we did analyze this data, we actually did discovered that it was lower than what we did expected, and this didn't really give so much rise to what was happening in this particular region. Then aside this too, when we look at the Bank of England, at the moment now, their base rate is peaking at 5.75%, which means we might not be getting the best of this particular instrument at the moment. So what we'll likely be seeing for today, using our support and resistance, the closest resistance we have is just this one, this place. That's the closest resistance we have. You can actually enter if price breaks above this particular region. You can enter for a buy, and you look at taking your profits before the highest that the market actually did got to for today. You can actually enter for a favorable buy, then you take your profit before the highest that market actually did got to for today. Then alternatively, if you are looking at selling this market, looking at it going in favor of the dollars, you can actually do that if price breaks below this particular support that we are seeing here. You can actually see that this support was formed last week on Tuesday, where you can actually see my cursor here. So this particular support was formed last week Tuesday. So you might want to last week Wednesday. So you might want to enter peradventure price breaks below this particular area. So once price breaks below, you can enter for a sell while you take your profits before price gets to the lowest of yesterday. All right. So before price gets to the lowest of yesterday, this is another favorable sell for you into the market. Then aside this now, let's look at USD JPY. Now, looking at some of the news which we did mention earlier on, as per some of the things that is actually affecting the dollar. All right. As regards some of the things that are actually affecting the dollar, one is that when you look at there is a decline in US inflation. There's a decline in US inflation. Aside from the fact that there's a decline in US inflation, this decline has actually made or saw to the overpowering of currencies by commodity called gold. And just like my colleague earlier said, gold has actually been doing more of a massive buy ever since this streak started on the dollar index. And aside this too, one of the few things which we believe would actually give so much rise to dollar at the moment is the fact that Chinese actually, or do I say China actually planned stimulus to push up growth. And we can actually see that this is one of the supportive policies that has actually been made recently from this region. And I actually did expect that this would actually give, once industries in China begins to pick up, definitely to have a kind of spread effect on what we have on USD. And aside this too, now if you look at inventories in US in terms of let's say oil inventories as well as gas, you can actually see that it's the usage is actually picking up, which tells us of the fact that when you look at economic activities in this region is moving very fine. It's moving very fine. Now, looking at JPY, what has been the bone of contention for JPY at the moment? Fine. For JPY, we can actually see that the Japanese wage growth, it actually rises. But one of the major concerns which I have is, one, if wage growth is actually increasing, definitely it tells us of the fact that, okay, fine, people are doing more, businesses are finding it very fine. But some of these data are not really correlating, because immediately we had a wage growth rise in Japan, household spending actually declined. So there is a kind of mismatch between the data that we are having, because normally if your wage is actually growing, then I actually believe that your household spending should actually increase also. But for their own data that did came out, the household spending actually did decreased. And because of this was why we are having a kind of that's why the instrument is trading down. Let me use that language. The instrument is actually trading down. All right. So for this particular instrument for today, using the concept of support and resistance, the closest resistance which you had is for today is this. This is the closest resistance which we've had for today. So for you to enter into a favorable buy, I would advise that you allow price break above the resistance which we've had for today. Once price breaks above the resistance for today, you can actually take your profit before price gets to the highest of yesterday. All right, can actually take your profit before price gets to the highest of yesterday. Then peradventure, you are looking towards having a sell, you can actually decide to enter for a sell at this place where you have my moving average, because the moving average also serves as more like support or resistance. Now, for the fact that candles are actually sitting on it, is serving more like a support for the candle. So peradventure price breaks this intended support, you can actually do enter for a sell around this region, while you take your profit before the lowest of what we had for today. You can actually take your profit before the lowest of what we had for today. Now, away from that, I'm going to be touching USDCAD. I'm going to be touching USDCAD. All right, so looking at USDCAD, as well as what the market has actually been able to do for USDCAD on 1 hour time frame, we can actually see that the market has actually been more of a downtrend. For this particular week, the market has been more of a downtrend, and the reason why the market has been more of a downtrend is not far-fetched. One is the fact that dollar index is not doing very fine at the moment. Dollar index is not doing very fine at the moment. Then, aside from the fact that the dollar index is not doing very fine at the moment, let's look at some of the news that has actually been helping CAD. Let's look at some of the news that has been helping the CAD. Now, one, there was stimulus that was being provided by China, which we did know that this stimulus, by the time you give stimulus to businesses, it means that they will require more production. And for them to actually produce more, they need to power their industries. And one of the major things which they use in powering their industries is what we know as crude oil. And it is of no news that the Canadian economy is a petro-economical kind of economy, which means that this stimulus actually gave rise to much more supply for oil. And immediately oil is being supplied, definitely give rise to what profits they could make. All right, that's one. Two is that China's outlook for demand is actually giving a kind of feel in the market, and is actually giving so much momentum to how much we could actually get, and as well as the overwhelming supply demand. And because of this, CAD, the Canadian economy, is actually basking on the glory which oil have at the moment. Now, if you look at where market is currently, market is more like it's not moving at the moment. And the reason why market feels like it's not moving is because when you look at what we have, at this particular region. Let me insert this arrow so that we can both see. So if you look at the operations of what happened here, by the time I place an horizontal line here, market was rejected at this point. If you look at where my cursor is, market was rejected at this point. This was last week Friday. The same thing happened last week Friday when my price attempted going above that region. We can actually see that it did retraced back to this particular point. So it tells you of the fact that this particular region that market is a very, very strong area of support. Fine, it's dynamic in nature because at this point it served more like a resistance. Now it's serving more like a support, so which makes it a dynamic zone. So what you as a person could actually do is that wait till price breaks below this particular region, which means that once price gets to this particular region, you can actually decide to enter for a favorable sell, while you can actually take your profit before price gets to another area of support, which is this particular zone. Then alternatively, if you are to enter for a buy based on hopes that unemployment claims that is going to come out today would actually go in favor of the dollar, we can actually decide to now enter for a buy. That is if price gets above this current candle. Whatever will make price go above this current candle, you can actually enter for a buy while you take your profit before price gets to the week of this previous candle. All right, so that's that for USD CAD. Then lastly, on currencies, let me talk about GBP CAD. Lastly, on currencies, I would talk about GBP CAD. All right, now GBP CAD, on this particular instrument, we can actually see that more like the same pattern which we have on USD CAD is what is actually forming on GBP CAD, which tells us of the fact that the enjoyment of oil is still of much more benefits to the Canadian economy. And I'm looking at what I said earlier on GBP. I actually spoke of the fact that inflation report, which came out yesterday, didn't really favor them. And because of this, they are not really getting the best of what they should get in terms of their economy. And that's why you see it getting weaker against the Canadian dollars. So in order for us to actually take advantage of the market for today, what you as a person could actually do, identifying the best area of resistance which we have. This is our foremost area of resistance, in as much as what market has actually done for today. So per adventure, you are entering in for a buy, you can actually enter a buy if price gets above the head of this current candle. Once price gets above this, you can actually enter for a buy. Then you can take your profit before price gets to the where it's actually opened for today. You can actually take your profit before price gets to the open of today. Then peradventure, you are looking at entering the market for a sell. You can enter if price breaks below this verified support. Wait till price breaks below this verified support. Then once price breaks below this verified support, you can actually enter for a sell. And I think on 4 hours time frame, the closest support we are having is around this point. All right, so that's that on GBP CAD. I think somebody has actually been shouting AUDCAD. AUDCAD. Let me try and do that. I'm actually done with some currencies. All right. Chart window. So looking at AUDCAD, this particular instrument has been more of a sell. All right. AUDCAD has been more of a sell. But when markets did open this morning, we can actually see that AUD had more momentum in the market, and this was due to the fact that the data that came out this morning for their unemployment change actually came out positive. All right. So we had three data for this morning, which is change in number of employed people during the previous month. So last month we had 76.5k people actually change job. And for this month, the data that actually came out this morning actually came out around 32.6k, which tells us of the fact that not more people actually did change their job, which tells us of the fact that a lot of people are actually confident with their job. The job is actually sustaining. All right. And when we look at our unemployment rate, the unemployment rate came out static, which means the same data we had for last month was one which we had for this month too. And also we had what we call National Australia Bank Limited, their quarterly business confidence report actually came out also. And we can actually see that the confidence that people actually get into bank or do business with them is actually getting great. All right. And because of this, it actually did give rise to their currency. But you can actually see that this data did affected the market, and that was why we enjoyed this long streak in the market. But for today, I'm looking at more of a sell. I'm looking at more of a sell. And if you are planning on entering a sell into the market, you can actually enter a sell at the lowest of the previous candle. That is, if price breaks below the lowest of this previous candle, you can actually enter for a sell. Then you look at taking your profits before the next area of support, which is at this particular region. Then also you can actually enter for a buy. That is, if price breaks above this particular region, the previous candle, the highest of the lowest of the previous candle, you can actually take a buy at the lowest. Then you take your profit at the highest of today. Can take your profits at the highest of today. So that is how you can actually have a favorable entry for the market as regards AUDC. All right, so moving away from this, I would be looking at oil. I'll be looking at oil. My colleague has actually done gold, so I would be looking at oil. What has been happening from the region of oil? All right. So looking at oil on 1 hour time frame, oil has actually, for most part of what we had for this week, oil has been doing more of a ranging market, in the sense that a lot of oil has actually been having a lot of challenges. All right. And these challenges are due to one, recommendations from the OPEC plus meetings. And one of the recommendations which we had from OPEC plus meeting was the fact that there should be a production cut, or do I say that there should be a kind of benchmark from what oil should do, or what the producers should actually produce. Now, aside from the issue of the benchmark which we are having on oil, the International Energy Agency also are looking at putting a benchmark to what the prices. They're looking at bringing in a global regulation for the prices of oil. And because of this, they're actually putting a benchmark on what oil can actually do per time. All right. And this is actually one of the reasons why you see oil at a moment will go up, and in another moment would drastically come down. All right. But from the news which I've actually read from Goldman Sachs, as well as some other producers, as well as consumers of oil, oil is looking at going towards the $84 per barrel region. All right, oil is looking at moving towards the $84 per barrel region, and because of this, we might likely see oil at least testing for today, moving towards the $80 per barrel region for today, which means that my preference for oil for today is likely to be more of a buy. My preference for oil today is likely to be more of a buy. Now, so some of the news that will affect oil, one is Chinese stimulus, just like I've reiterated earlier on, that China are looking at giving stimulus to industries, of which when they give stimulus to industries, a lot of industries will begin to run, and when they run, they will need to run on oil, and this would actually give so much demand for oil, of which they are ready to supply. Then aside that too, Iraq is actually looking at overpowering Saudi Arabia as the highest producers of oil, and they're actually targeting $13 million barrel per day production target on oil. And if they are able to do this, definitely would see so much pump in oil. Then aside that too, US crude oil inventories actually came out, was it on Tuesday, came in very, very lower, which tells us of the fact that consumption for oil is actually at its peak at the moment. Then aside this too, the US is actually going into their summer. And during this period, definitely you know that there is what we call summer demand for oil, which means a lot of people will be able to actually pick out their cars, goes on different vacations and the like. So in lieu of this, we expect that this would actually push up the prices of oil. Then overwhelming supply demand, definitely this would give rise to what oil will do per time. So for today, I'm actually looking for a buy on oil. You can actually enter for a buy. That is if price breaks above the highest of what we have for today. Enter for a buy if price breaks above the highest of what we have for today. Then you can actually take your profit at the next resistance level. Can actually take your profit at the next resistance level. Then peradventure you are looking towards selling. If you want to sell on oil for today, sell below the lowest of yesterday. Below the lowest of yesterday, you can actually enter for a sell below the lowest of yesterday. Then you take your profit at the nearest support region. You take your profit at the nearest support region. That's that on oil. All right. So I'll go to D30 now. Based on the what was being said earlier on the Eurozone, as regarding the fact that German producer prices actually fell by 0.3 in the month, as well as emerging data of unemployment claims. Now, these two things that was actually being measured, as well as some of the other issues ravaging the European region, we can actually see that this actually led to the weakness in their currencies. And for the fact that it led to the weakness in their currencies, one of the few things which we know, or the dynamics of the market as regards how currencies behave in relation to indices, is the fact that once currencies are doing fine, indices will not do fine, and once indices are doing fine, currencies will not do fine. Now, on this basis, we are actually banking our positions on what D30 will do for today, based on the fact that some of these figures in terms of inflation, producer price index falling, as well as emerging data of unemployment claims, as well as base rates picking in this region, is not really doing well for their economy. Looking at it, I expect that D30 will still do more of a buy, at least for most part of what we'll have for today. And if you look at what the market has been doing over time, the market has been doing more of a buy, except for this week that market has been consolidating. Now, we actually did expect a favorable buy. That is if price breaks above the highest of today. Now, this is the highest of today. You can actually enter for a favorable buy. Then you take your profit at the next resistance that we are seeing. This is the next resistance that we are seeing. You can actually enter for take your profit at this region. Then for your sell entry, you can actually enter for a sell. That is if price breaks below the middle of this present candle. If price breaks below the middle of this present candle, enter for a sell while you take your profit at the open of the present candle. You take your profit at the open of the present candle. On this, I'll move to US 100, and I would also touch on US 2000. All right, so looking at US 100. Oh, sorry, my colleague has actually touched on US 100. I'll do US 2000 as well as US 30. Now, looking at US 2000, the market has been more of an uptrend. And aside from the fact that the market has been more of an uptrend, it has been doing more of a flag kind of pattern. You know, it goes up, then it has its flag, it goes up, it has its flag, it goes up, it has its flag. Now, this has been the pattern which US 2000 has actually been doing for this particular week. You can actually see that this particular one started from Monday, a flag, then goes up, a flag goes up, a flag goes up. So, and if you look at the pattern, the market moves more towards the close of business. You can actually see during the time that market started, it was more like consolidating. Then towards the close of business, it went up, consolidated. Then towards the close of business, went up, consolidated. Towards the close of business, went up. I'm actually expecting this particular pattern for today too, which means that you would see this particular candle doing more of a consolidating market. Then by the time US session actually opens, we begin to have more of an uptrend in the market. But for today, we might likely have more like markets doing another thing entirely, based on the facts or based on the figures which we are actually expecting in the market. Now, let me do this on 4 hours time frame to see the pattern which markets is actually bringing. Now, on 4 hours time frame, it seems this is still the highest that the market has gotten to from what I can actually see on 4 hours time frame. Let me go to daily time frame to see if things would all right, good. Now, on daily time frame, we can actually see that markets got to this particular region it is presently now at 3rd day of February. That was where market got to this point. It got to this point at 3rd day of February. 3rd day of February. Permit me to go back to permit me to go back to how do I call it now? I want to check what we have on Forex Factory to see what happened on 3rd of February. And for me to do that, let me just go back in time. So 3rd of February happens to be a Friday. And let me see what happened 3rd of February. Now, 3rd of February, the news that actually happened 3rd of February is that we had average hourly earnings. We have non-farm unemployment change, and we have unemployment rate, as well as ISM services PMI, as well as final services PMI. This tells us of the fact that this particular data that actually came in favor of US dollar, and immediately it came in favor of US dollar. We started seeing US 2000 moving in a downward direction. Now, let's go back to the chart. Now, so this tells us that it was this particular data that came in that crashed US 2000 to what we have at the moment. Now, in lieu of this, we have a data coming out today. Peradventure, this data actually comes out because this is still the highest. So I'm looking at this on a kind of how do I call it now? I'm looking at it from a technical angle. This is the highest price has gotten to, which I believe is a major resistance region. I expect price to actually do a replica of what we are having, at least for it to still come down. So if you are to enter for a buy, you can actually enter if price breaks above the highest that we have seen, of which I doubt if price would likely do that. So you might want to enter for a favorable sell. That is, if price breaks below the middle of this present candle, you might enter for a favorable sell and take your profit at least at the open of today. Can take your profit at the open of today. And if you look at what my stochastics is also saying too, market is still in order for more of a sell. Market has actually been overbought since the start of today. Market is going towards the overbought region, so which means that we might look at having more of a sell. So peradventure market or price gets to the middle of this present candle, you might enter for a favorable sell for the market. And on this, look at US 32. For US 30, it has actually been doing almost the same thing too. US 30 has been doing almost the same thing too when it comes to this instrument. The highest it has gotten to also on daily time frame. This is the highest US30 has even gotten to on daily time frame, because let me look at it on a weekly if we would see something. All right, so on weekly, markets fell to this region on weekly. That was 2022. All right, that was 2022, 17th of April 2022. Then aside this too, we had a rebound, or do I say a retest, at December 11. We had a retest December 11, and the closest to what we have now is around June 11, which tells us of the fact that market has gotten to one of the highest we've actually seen in recent times. One of the highest we've actually seen in recent times. So on this, taking it back to 1 hour time frame, for you to enter for a buy, you can actually enter a buy at if price breaks above this particular place, then you take your profit at the highest of what we've seen for yesterday. But I can actually tell you that this movement is a very, very dicey one. It's a very, very dicey one. I'll look towards going for more of a sell, and you can actually enter a sell. If price breaks below this region, then you can actually take your buy before you get to the next support region. So that's that for market projection for today. You can actually meet with your account officers in case you're having any challenges as regarding the market. And peradventure you are on a particular trade and you don't know what you should do next, kindly do a screenshot to your account officer so that they can actually guide you accordingly. Do a screenshot to your account officer so that they can actually guide you accordingly. Then for people who are actually in these places I'm going to be mentioning, we have a seminar today as well as tomorrow. If you're in Ondo, if you're in Akure, if you're in Oshogbo, if you're in Ibadan, if you're in Lagos, if you're in Abuja as well as Port Harcourt, we have seminar today as well as tomorrow. So feel free to actually join us. We'll be hoping that we can have a favorable market for today. And just like I said, the fundamentals that is actually coming out for today is something that you as a person should look towards to actually enjoying. All right, so keep yourself abreast by 1:30 for this particular news. Then aside this too, we are going to be having the live trading session by 2 o'clock in lieu of the US session open. So I believe you can actually enjoy the moments with us. Then for people who wants to trade on Euro USD, there's going to be a news coming up in the next 4 minutes. That's talking about some current account from the Eurozone. So this is just going to be telling us the difference in the value between imported as well as exported goods. That's more or less like trade entry for you to know whether you are a producing country or a consummation country. This will definitely, if actually it's greater than forecast, definitely it's going to be good for their currency. Of course, it's another opportunity for you to actually make money from the market. You said you lost your account officer's number. You lost your account officer's number. You can actually drop your email address. That's for Chiwendu Okpai. Drop your email address, the one you registered with Rally. I would get your account officers to call you. Just drop your email address, all right? Antonio, okay. I'll get your account officer to call you. All right, so that's for today. In case you're having anything, reach out to your account officer. Thank you and do have a wonderful day.